that will endure. Through the ages, stories sing. In the Mahabharat's mighty ring.
I'm still in the Vale of Shangar in the Himachal. Last time we learned about how Pandu was cursed and how he convinced Kunti to have children or have at least one child. Today we continue. Hi, welcome to Young Man Old Adventures, and today's story is about Kunti and her children, about Pandu, Madri, and how Pandu left this world. So Kunti was convinced of having a child. In spite of first saying no, Pandu managed to convince her, and they decided that Kunti would call on Dharmaraj, the god of Dharma. Some say that the another name for Dharmaraj is also Yamraj, that they are two sides of the same coin, that Yamraj and Dharmaraj are the same. What you people do not know perhaps is one of the meanings of my name Pramit is also Dharmaraj. You see, the hall in which eternal justice is given before you are allocated heaven or hell is known as Paramita. And the person who sits in it to give justice is Dharmaraj. He's also known as Pramit. I don't have too much of dharma in me, but however, that is the meaning. So anyways, moving on. When both Pandu and Kunti decided they would call on Dharmaraj, Pandu went to Madri and said, Madri, come with us. Kunti needs to be alone. You and I are going off on a yatra. Both husband and wife took off. Madri said, why? She can't be alone. Pandu said, you leave her alone. She can take care of herself. And they went off together. They went off into the mountains together to visit all the ashrams, to visit all the temples and the tirthasthas, the pilgrimage centers. Kunti called on Dharmaraj. Dharmaraj came to her one evening, serene and quiet. Kunti was overwhelmed. Dharmaraj took her in his arms and they made love. It was soft, tender, but still passionate. Next day morning, Kunti was with child. When Pandu and Madri returned, Pandu took one look at Kunti's face and started screaming with joy. He yelped out loud, and Kunti smiled. Soon enough, there was a child who was born. He looked serene, peaceful. A voice from the heavens said, this is Yudhisthira, the son of Dharmaraj. He will be the epitome of dharma, of rules, of the right things in this world. Both Madri and Kunti were also overjoyed. All three parents took care of Yudhisthira, but soon enough, Pandu grew impatient again. He went to Kunti and said, dear Kunti, dear queen who I love more than my own soul, Yudhisthira can't grow up alone. He needs a brother. Kunti sighed, said, you are not seriously going to do this again, are you? And Pandu said, what wrong am I doing? I am simply giving my young son Yudhisthira a brother. And this time, I know who to call. Just by looking at Pandu's face, Kunti was scared. Somehow she knew what was coming. Somehow she knew what God he wanted to summon. And sure enough, Pandu told her to call on Vayu, the father of Hanuman. There is nobody in the world stronger than Vayu. Kunti said, do you think it is very simple to make love to these gods? Do you think we humans can bear their strength, bear their passion? And Pandu said, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. Just call on Vayu. Vayu, the father of Hanuman, the greatest god ever. Again, he took off with Madri. And one evening, sitting in the vale, Kunti felt the breeze, the wind going through the trees, and she called to Vayu. Suddenly, the entire valley went silent. The wind stopped. And in front of her embodied a man so beautiful, as if made from air, as if made from the breeze itself. A man who was transparent and yet very much there. Vayu smiled, the most beautiful smile that Kunti had ever seen. Kunti was enamored. Vayu swept up Kunti in his arms, and she was lost in a night of tremendous passion. In the morning, she was with child. When Madri and Pandu came back, she said she was with child, and soon Bhima was born. Bhima, who was named by the gods themselves, who came down and said, this is Bhimsen, the brother of Hanuman. From the very beginning, Bhima was loving and yet strong. One day, when Pandu was walking along the cliff with Kunti and the child in her arms, Kunti stumbled and the child fell down from the hills, down below on a black rock. She screamed, Pandu shouted out, and they ran down the cliff to look at the child. There was nothing wrong with him. The black rock lay shattered, and he was gurgling and wondering if he could do it again. In another few months, Pandu was impatient again. He came to Kunti, and Kunti said, this is the last time, damn it. I can't take the Tej, the glory of the gods anymore. She said, one more son, just one more son. Somebody came in my dream and asked you to call to Indra, the king of the gods. And Kunti called out to Indra. Indra came stern and strong in a cave. They made love, and a child was born. He was to be called Arjun. Arjun, the strongest warrior that ever lived, the greatest warrior that ever lived. But Madri was unhappy. Madri became progressively unhappy. Once Pandu went and asked her, what's wrong with you? And Madri, the younger wife, said, everything that you give to Kunti. Kunti is the person you love so much because she has 3 children. I am nobody because I don't have any. So Pandu went to Kunti and said, Kunti, Madri is saying that I don't care about her. Can you please teach her the mantra so that she can have a child? And Kunti said, she should have come and told me. I have got nothing against Madri. Madri is like my younger sister. I will teach her. One day, she took Madri aside inside the jungle and called out to a god of Madri's choice. Madri chose the Ashwanis. They came down, both of them, and made love to Madri. Soon, Madri was happily with child. Not one child, 2 children, twins. The twins, Nakul and Sahadeva. When they were born, the family was complete. Or so Kunti and Madri thought. Pandu soon wanted another child, and Kunti said, nothing doing, 5 are enough. I am not going to have any more children, do what you like. So Pandu understood, and they started raising these children. Early on, it was obvious. It was obvious that Yudhisthira was good with the javelin, Bhima was a great mace player from a very young age, and Arjuna was a great archer. Nakul and Sahadeva were not like them. They were all-round warriors, but not good enough in any one particular discipline. There used to be a Muni called Saka who lived in that forest. He became their first teacher along with Pandu. But within a year, Arjuna had already learned all that there was to learn about archery. Bhim was already very strong. Yudhisthira, learned, and Nakula and Sahadeva, all-round students. Saka said, I can't teach them anything more. They have already learned everything that is there to be learned. And he took off to the Himalayas. Pandu started teaching them whatever else it is that he knew. But these good times were not going to last. These good times were going to come to an end. One day, when Kunti and the children were out of the ashram, Pandu was overcome by lust for his wife Madri. Madri was taking bath in a waterfall and her clothes were awry. Pandu went and caught hold of Madri, and Madri said, you need to stop right now. Even I feel like being in your arms, Maharaj, but you cannot because you will die. Pandu did not listen. He literally forced himself on her. Madri tried to stop him, but then got led away. They made love, and just as Pandu was climaxing, he died. Madri screamed out loud. Kunti, who was already on the way back to the ashram, ran in with the children, came and saw that her husband was dead. Madri blamed herself. Kunti tried to explain to her that she could do nothing. Madri said, Kunti, you need to go back to Hastinapur. You need to give these children a good life. 18 years have passed. 15 years since Yudhisthira was born. They are old enough to go back to the kingdom they so deserve. Kunti said, what do you mean? I am the elder wife. I'll commit sati. Madri said, don't take this away from me. Can't you see? The children, even Nakul and Sahadeva, love you much more. They think of you as the mother. Pandu has left. Do you want them to become orphans? Because I am surely going to do sati. Kunti saw the sense in what Madri was saying. Madri lit a pyre on which she lovingly laid down Pandu. She committed sati with him. Kunti was left with these 5 children. She said word to Hastinapur that she was coming back. And slowly she started a 17-day journey which took her from these valls to the capital of the Kuru kingdom, Hastinapur. But that is another story. Till then, stay curious because it's all about stories.